Hello, welcome to the Bigger Truth Show. I am Scott McMahon, and I am super excited for this show. We had a great show last week with In the Matrix and Shady Groove, Jeff and Shannon from the MG Show, and we've got a lot to cover today. I'm going to just very briefly recap what we talked about last week. I do recommend that you go back and watch the whole show, but we talked about the origins, especially of the Q influencer kind of movement and how that came to be and how it was infiltrated very systematically by the Flynn network. And so this is kind of the origins of the Flynn network and how this came to be. And so definitely go back and watch that show. But we were talking about that from because Q started in 2017 into 2017, how Jeff and Shannon got started and going all the way through about 2020. But there's a lot more gaps that we're going to fill in there. And we've got a bunch of other stuff that we're going to cover. So hopefully this is going to be a continued thing. But with no further ado, Jeff and Shannon, welcome to the Bigger Truth Show. Thank you so much for joining. Hang on, you guys are muted.
How you doing, Scott?
There we go. All right.
Great to see you, buddy.
Hey, Scott, thank you very much for having us. Hello, everybody out there on rumble.com, Bigger Truth. Go over to @BiggerTruth as well on Twitter. Please support Scott, because Scott, Shady and I were talking about this the other day. It's hard for us to talk about ourselves, right, on the show, because, that's not what we're about. But Scott actually has taken the time, even though he may not have followed Q, okay? He may not even believe in it, but that's okay, because that's not the point of this whole conversation. I think, Scott, showing an interest in us, Shady, and actually asking us genuine questions like a genuine person would do in the outside world instead of this digital controlled battlefield. I'm very appreciative of you, Scott, for, actually having that first, conversation with you. And we've got so much more that we can talk about as far as how they tried to capture us, Shady. I mean, do you want to tack onto that?
I would absolutely echo that sentiment, Scott. I greatly appreciate your curiosity, sir, is actually what we're noticing, because you seem to have the same type of curiosity that we have. And whenever you start to ask questions, the cascade of questions, and if you run into something that you don't like, if you stop that cascade of questions, then you're doing something wrong. And we've sort of learned, trying to go through this about that. And also the amount of reaction that we got from last week. Ooh. I thought that was very interesting, because everyone wanted to focus in on a specific part of what we were talking about. Everyone wanted to divert your attention away from how we are putting together this reality of who these Flynn people are, what they were doing to us early, how they try to control the narrative, and exactly what they're trying to do now. But seemingly they want us to stop talking and act like everything that we say. Scott, I'm curious, how is everything that me and Jeff say about what happened in our life not real?
Right. Right.
Yeah. It's true.
You guys were in the middle of what was a really important part of our country's history, I think. And this is really what we're trying to piece together, is an understanding of how, what happened during Trump's presidency, what happened in 2020 and beyond. And what I've been focused on for the last year and a half is this clear insurgency into MAGA and Trump's world and the Republican parties, and just trying to understand how this came to be, who's running it. This is the same thing that recently for the last year or more, James Lindsay has been talking about it. He's been describing it in terms of ideological means and talking about the woke right. And I think that's a piece of it. And Jordan Peterson has recently started talking about this from more of a psychological perspective. But ultimately, and I think that they did a show last week that was really good. I recommend that everybody watch it, talking about the ideology and the philosophy. And also they described it as well as an influence network. And so it is an influence operation. I've been saying for some time that I believe that it's associated with with our own intelligence community and even foreign intelligence. And so, it's a lot to wrap our heads around, because we're talking about, it's a web of lies, but it's also a web of influence and people, and it's a network. And so that's really what we're talking about, because you were part of, as you know, in this, because Q is really, it was a phenomenon. And I was never a Q follower. I read some of the posts here and there, but it wasn't something that I really paid that much attention to. And I'm still, even to this day, I'm agnostic about whether or not it was white hats or black hats or what. But clearly, I think it is an intelligence operation. And there are people that have interpreted it in a way that's positive, and there are people that have interpreted it in a way that I think is destructive. And I think you guys have done that, and your crew, your family, really, of people that you've welcomed me into, and I'm really grateful for that. We're here because, like I said last week, we're here because we've come to the same conclusions. We've looked at different evidence from different perspectives, sometimes at the same evidence, and we've arrived at the same conclusion. So
that's what's important right there.
Right.
Boom, what you just said right there. We've arrived at the same conclusions almost at the same time. It's almost like it had to happen at a certain time, because we were fooled by General Flynn. In fact, do you want to show my screen real quick? Right here are my direct messages with General Michael Flynn. Okay.
Nice.
This is, can you make it bigger so people can see? Or
I can. Hang on.
Yep. And then I'm just going to quickly go through it, because I need you guys to understand that he tried to capture us on April 19th, 2018. Shady, remember this? You remember this very well. And this is General Michael Flynn. So this is like, oh, wow, we're thinking he's great, right? Wow, and I, showed him all this stuff, and, oh, not tired of waiting. I feel like, yeah, and very interesting. Just keep going down. I'm just showing you that he's, he was communicating with us. See that right there? I called it Q Army, not QAnon. This is, he sent me the Epoch Times about, and I just told him about pay source, Shady. He even knew about that. Just keep going down. I told him that, I was doxxed as well. And he basically, let's see, keep going down. This was on December. This is Christmas Eve. Where we go when we go all. Thank you for your unwavering support on his birthday on 2018. All right. And we thought that was great. Offering prayers for your whole family. Thank you. Okay. This is what, hello, General Flynn. I've been exposed on 8chan board. My name is Jeffrey Peterson. I'm an upstanding citizen and a father. I love my country and support you. Oops. Our POTUS, our movement. Please pray for me and protection. I'm a little nervous, but I'm all in. God bless. That's when his operative, Paula C. Blades, doxed me and my then 15-year-old daughter. Okay. And he knew exactly what was happening, guys. And then going down here, this is when we went to the School of Enlightenment. And this is who he sent after us right here. See this picture right here? That's a Special Forces ring, isn't it? And that's Eddie Haskell says hello. And, and the big wave, the big sir is in the background. So those are a couple of things that I just wanted to show you how, they were trying to capture us, and we were fooled. I mean, we got to be honest. We were, in fact, fooled that this guy was a good guy until 8/8/2023. We already had questions, but that's when we came vocal about, like, wow, this guy is really a scumbag.
Well, the smear campaign is very interesting because, like, obviously we see it with hindsight a lot better. And the way that it was happening, like, you can see the same thing that's going on right now on the surface on Twitter with these mixed messages. These operators say this, those operators say that. these guys are over here on that side, and they're pretending like they're fighting these guys over here on this side, when in all reality, neither of them are following along with the president. They're both presenting narratives that are clashing in the middle, so no one can orient themselves on what's going on. That's essentially what they were doing here with attempting to send the mixed messaging with, the communication that was going on with all of the people that were in public were smearing us and trying to attack us and tell us to not do something, which was effectively just go and promote the idea that this information about the bloodline families, which connects to the King's List and the biblical nature to everything that we're talking about here. Don't talk about that. Don't expose that. Don't make that something that's known, understood, or any type of thirst quenched by talking about it. Those different things were going on. And Jeff, what happened to him was he was trusting people in the Discord to know who he really was. He let them know who his Facebook was. So they had this piece of information on him. He's just like me, a regular person. Like, you're not really thinking that people are going to like do these things. So in the middle of his time, us researching on the boards, all of a sudden he starts seeing pictures on the boards on 8chan of his daughter and of his family and of different things that have gone on that he has posted to Facebook that have been connected now to his In the Matrix account. So when he says being doxxed, we were all anonymous. I was anonymous until I decided to not be anonymous. They took that away from him as a reason to try to silence him.
Yeah.
So why did Paula Blades come after you? Was it because you were talking about the bloodlines?
So the minute we said the word Pesor is when all the attacks happened.
Yes. Whenever Jeff, we worked on a thread. Jeff brought me in. We worked on a thread. He was already in the process of working on it. He was like, da-da-da. We threw some ideas. Then we started going to get some more deeper information, putting it together. He's like, how do we do it? All of a sudden he got inspired to start it. The biggest thing about doing one of these threads is that first post and finding something that actually tells the story, like the opening chapter of a book, if you will. And so whenever, you put America, the Pesor, what is P, America for sale, that meme, that graphic, that became, there was about a month in there before he came on my show. By the time he came on my show a month later, he was already doxxed.
Yeah.
And I noticed that when you were showing the screenshots or your conversation there with Flynn, that looked like he didn't respond after that. You kind of confided in him, came to him. It looked like in a sincere way, just saying, there's all these attacks against us. Please pray for us. He never responded.
He said offering prayers for your whole family.
Oh, he did say that?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So,
And then, so we, so the pacer were like, let's just really quick continue that because it's big. Then we were going to go to the Ramtha School of Enlightenment to go speak on the same stage that Roseanne Barr has spoke on. In fact, Jay-Z Knight and Roseanne Barr is best friends. They're best friends. Then who else performed there? Kennedy.
RFK Jr., who you now know as your Health and Human Services Secretary.
And one of our favorites,
William Cooper.
Mm-hmm. Spoke on that same stage. And then all these people started saying, oh my God, even Neon Revolt came after us. You had all the Flynn soldiers, all the people in our Discord came after us. And it was interesting because I said, I'm no man is going to tell me what to do. I will pray on it. And I said, I wrote in the Discord, and this is funny. I've said, President Trump, give us a sign if I should go or not. And the next morning I wake up, his first post was talking about enlightenment, which is the school is called the Ramtha School of Enlightenment. And Trump posted something about enlightenment. So these are these weird coincidences that happen. Maybe they're real, maybe they're not, but it was still a sign. So we went, and then we took one of our mods with us, Shady. It was Jay Vega, who actually was Critcher, who is a politician that actually sat in for Bill. I guess it's a state level Arkansas Critcher. In the Senate.
Senator.
Yep. And he's like when Bill Clinton had to go away, he was acting governor for Bill Clinton. And so what happened was we went to this event, and it was we didn't want to stay because I got death threats. Shady and I got death threats for going, and we're going to talk about the Pesors, and we're going to talk about my Trust the Plan thread. For those of you that are aware of that, those are two pretty powerful threads. And we spoke for 6 hours on the stage, and we didn't want to have them. They were like, yeah, we'll pay for your hotel. I don't want them to pay for a hotel. Shady and I decided to figure it out ourselves because we were scared about, some of these crazy people, and they were
We didn't
saying,
want anybody to know where we were.
yeah, exactly. We're hiding. And so then this person that came with us threw up. She was drunk all the time. She made us late for things, and it was like a nightmare. And her brother had just like been found dead in a bathtub, and he was a Marine. I mean, just all these weird, wild things that was happening with her, locking herself in her room, and I'm locking my door, going, "Oh my God!"
And why was she with you?
Because we thought she was
because she was a person that was in our Discord server. She was one of very few people that had been, very what you would consider, we didn't know her. She was very normal, seemed very normal. It was a complete surprise to us. She basically wanted to go and be there with us, and we invited her, and she bought her own ticket, and we really didn't know her until Jeff met her whenever he was flying there. And we knew immediately, like, oh my God, what have we done? JT Wild had come out there too, so we had a little bit of a team against her, but it was a fiasco.
Yeah, somebody saying she was a handler. She probably was there, and it could have been even worse. I mean, to be honest, I
think she actually liked us.
Dangerous, yeah. Maybe she did. And so then we're like,
and what you just for the listeners, so what you described last time was this Discord server, and Discord is an app where and I've used it. You can create a private networking group where people can communicate and stuff. And what you had said last week is that the Flynn network used an invitation only Discord server for Q influencers, and that they brought you guys in. They invited you in early on. Right away when you started doing this, and it was kind of like this exclusive club for Flynn or for Q influencers, but it was really a Flynn influencer network. And you really didn't discover that until much later, because here at this point you were still trusting the people that were in there.
Well, see, yeah, so you're talking about a short amount of time that happened, and so by the time we were actually going to the event, we started the show in early 2019. We had all these people. We had been doing this, together for a while. Summer, Jeff was coming on to the Q Lounge very often. Like almost every show he was coming on before we started the show. Lots of interaction between the Discord. There was a bunch of Discord servers where all these people were, but by the time we went to this event that summer, they had taken over all of our places, like all the what places that you call shady and matrix territory in Discord, that our servers, like they've blocked us all out, and then started making shows with Red Pill 78 about how we were associated with Ramta and somehow smearing the Q movement by going to a public place to talk to a worldwide audience about what Q was posting for.
Yeah, and let's be clear, the audience that we had 40 translators, and we talked for 6 hours about the bloodlines that we researched, the Pacer bloodline. And that actually helped us get a lot of people worldwide. That's why we've got a lot of people in Japan that follow us. When Q posted the people in Japan, they followed me already. They were following Shady. We knew all these people. So it was an amazing opportunity because, I wanted, Shady and I wanted to just get our information out there. I mean, that's the goal, right? That's what you think. Because you go to somebody's place does not mean you're them, right? I mean, why aren't they attacking?
You never belonged. You never belonged to the Ramtha cult. You didn't sign some blood oath or anything.
No blood oath.
Yeah, exactly right. And I felt very welcome there. I didn't feel scared at all, nor did Shady. But so when we came back, it was interesting because we got a flight, and I was flying with the person, Jay Vega. And we get into the flight, and there's this guy there, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Eddie Haskell. I saw you guys at the hotel." I'm like, "Oh my God, this is weird." And I sat by the window, made her sit in between us, and he started like doing things like basically breaking Jay Vega down to where he was like, "Oh, just picture a bubble. It's green." And like, she's just like, she was an Air Force person apparently, and breaking her down. He's like, "Why are you with this guy? Like, why are you with her?" And it was really odd. And then all of a sudden she spilled her Bloody Mary, and she's like, "I got to get this out." And she's scrubbing her purse. And she went to the bathroom, and he's like, "Watch that girl." I'm like, "Holy shit, what did you just do to her?" And then we get out off the plane, and he says, "Let's have a drink." And I'm like, "Okay." And we hadn't had a drink, and she was late. She was a hot mess. She missed her plane to get there. She missed her plane. She's missing planes all the time. She's a hot mess. So his name was Eddie Haskell, and I don't know if that's a real name or not, but he said, take out your phone and take a picture of my ring. And here's the photo. I mean, if you can make this big, take Shady out too if you can. But this is what he said. He said, take out your phone, and this is June 25th of 20. This is June 30th of 2019. Take out your phone, take a picture of my ring, and that is a what is that? Special Forces ring, isn't it?
I think
De
the research.
Libra. That's a Special Forces ring, and Shady's still on there, so you can't see the whole thing. But
No, he did. He moved it. You could see it.
well,
I just came back.
And it says Eddie Haskell says hello, sir, ready to be at your service. And then General Flynn responded with this meme, and that's like the big sir in the background. Okay, thank you, big sir. Assuming, but isn't that interesting that we had a person that knew us in the airplane broke down Jay Vega? I mean, it was weird. I mean, Shady. I mean, did I leave anything out of that? I mean,
no, I think you described it very well. As a matter of fact, I can't really believe that it's been that long. Well, that was 6 years ago that actually happened. So, like the journey that we've been on since that moment is absolutely insane with all these people. I mean, yeah, because right then, whenever we got back from that, they all wanted us iced out. They wanted us ignored. They wanted us pushed aside. They didn't want anybody paying attention to us. And then the whole, whole nother layer of people ended up coming in around us.
Quick, I don't want to interrupt, but Pseudonym's in chat. She's like, "Oh man, this is bringing back memories." Yeah, wow.
We have Sue. We have Connor. We have
Connor.
John Connor. We have an MG Show baby mama in the house.
What a handsome dude he is, and
he is a handsome dude.
He was one of our mods, and she knew Jay Vega at the time as well. Scott.
Wow. So you did that. You went to that event. Who invited you to go to that event?
Jay-Z.
Yeah,
okay.
Jay-Z night.
Wow.
And she made
the reason
she
that
made
she
donations, and they attacked us on donations. We can't control who donates to our show, nor would we.
Well, she was, but the truth of the matter is, she understood our research, Scott. She understood the research about the Paysor family, the agent reality to this, how the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers aren't really a bloodline. They're the agents of the trust, and the real bloodline is hidden. And so she understood all this information and had been had like the people that go there. She's the only person that lives there, by the way. So everybody tries to say that she's a cult and all this. It's not. It's like an event center where people rent it out and bring people there, and they do all kinds of different stuff there.
There.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but yeah, so she understood these things, and she saw our research and contacted us and was like extremely excited. One of her books that she wrote had a code or whatever that lined up with some other books that Jordan Sather talked about that was connected to a Q post at one point. There was something going on there. And so, she contacted us and invited us.
We think that's what happened. Maybe she was there to honeypot us too. I don't know, because it was crazy.
It was crazy.
I'm not here to stand up for anything, but it was an odd situation. But we did have 400 people in the audience, and we gave our presentation to 40 countries with live translators.
That's awesome.
Which is why we have a big audience with our podcast now. Our podcast has a very large audience around the world. A lot of places around the world that can't listen to our show because it's censored. They download the podcast and they're passing it around, even in China.
Yeah, the podcast medium it's a powerful medium.
It is
so hard to control.
It's part of what helped us navigate this, because they demonetized us everywhere. YouTube took us down. They took us down in a way to where they did not want us to survive. If it had not been for Red State Talk Radio, I'm not sure that we would have.
Mm-hmm. So let's go forward. So you wanted to talk about Twitter 1.0.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's kind of get into that, because that's similar time frame, right?
It is. Yeah. And it's also a similar similar circumstances, especially like what went on around Jeff. What you have to understand with what Jeff was doing is he wasn't just bringing the Q post to Twitter. He was bringing what was being dug into around the Q post as it was happening to Twitter. So what was going on was, it was like almost a reporting, a dissemination where the reporting was real time. And because it was real time, the networks, the news media, the legacy media, none of these people have the ability to deal with information in that regard.
Yeah. Uh-oh. You're muted.
I am?
No, Scott, is Yeti controlling this? What's going on? All right, so he's muted out.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back.
Okay.
It was operator error. So around that same time, We the Media started as well, right?
Yeah.
That was so, and you guys were involved in that. That was just kind of a large group.
So we didn't get into We the Media until Telegram. Because I started like calling them out, like, why aren't you sharing my stuff? I've been queued, why are you guys like the voices? My Paysur stuff, it was queued. Praying Medic wouldn't talk about it. None of these asshats would talk about it because I thought it was pretty cool because we knew the guy that said, hey, queued is P equal Paysur. When are we going to see the pain? And he was there to say like Q wasn't going to repost it. Q wasn't going to respond to it, but Q reposted it, thereby making that actually something pretty incredible because Shady and I had done 2 shows, Sunday and a week later Sunday, and then Monday I was saying, Shady, maybe we shouldn't talk about it, maybe it's disinformation, and then Luca posted that post on the Chan boards, and Wednesday, I think it was, Shady, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, Q reposted that, and we came on and did a victory lap because we're like, oh my God, it's real. This information that we did, it has been reposted by Q by somebody that we thought was our friend, but he was actually, knowing what we know now, trying to discredit it.
Right. So, so it sounds like that's kind of,
and it's solid research, Q or not.
Sure.
Yeah, well, really, and just to maybe expand on that for just a second. What Q was doing, the reason that we got onto this was because Q had made a couple of posts that reference P. And people were like, oh, well, what is P? And oh, is it Pope? And then Q came back out there, but no, it's not Pope. Pope will be having a terrible May. So leading people away from the idea that the chair serves the master and the letter P, people were taking that and making this theory of some people saying it was Pelosi, it was Pence, it was all these different things.
Pendar,
Pendragon.
We tried to plug that into everything to discredit my theory and our thread, Shady.
That's correct. And so whenever what Jeff discovered was the quote unquote Alex Christopher's Paysur research that was echoed in David Icke's book, The Biggest Secret, and also in Fritz Springmeier's book, Bloodlines of the Illuminati. So they keep like trying to smear us and act like we're connected to Alex Jones whenever we were talking about the Fritz Springmeier book. But in all reality, we're talking about the Alex Christopher book where Fritz Springmeier got the information. That's who actually did the research on the Paysur family, which is the bloodline king lineage that they try. So we haven't been able to find any other family name.
Let me just
a second. We
haven't Pandora's Box, it's called. I just want to let people know because so it's called Pandora's Box. The what is it? The Hidden Hand. Shady.
You're talking about the book?
Yeah, he's got it right there, I think. Don't you?
Pandora's Box, the ultimate unseen hand.
Yeah.
Behind
we've actually got printed copies. All right. Shady and I both have printed copies. They're very expensive. And I wanted to just slow you that down there, Shady, too, real quick, because you're on to it. Like, exactly. And it was on the, this is what they don't want you to see. And if you read the table of contents, it reads like Q posts. What are the origins of misinformation? All these different things. And we're reading this, and I wanted to slow you down for this, Shady. This is the only reason to kind of give us a plug. We're reading this every Friday on our second hour of premium content, rumble.com/MG show. Go sign up, get Rumble Premium, and join us there Fridays. And we're reading this book to you guys, Shady.
Yeah, we're digging into like a little bit, like taking ourselves out of the news for a second and digging into like the specifics because it's so interesting and it's so dynamic. There's no other example in history of the New York Times or any other publications in America that were researching bloodline families. If you go back to the turn of the century, this was very, very, very important before the Federal Reserve. Donald Trump is talking about that era between 1870 and 1913. The reason that era is important because Americans were realizing how the war got started. Americans were realizing what happened during the Civil War and how they were able to utilize fake narratives and media to weaponize both sides. So the banking cartel families from Europe generated the Civil War. Americans were onto it. Even the New York Times was outing this family, the Payseur. But then we started looking back, and then we're seeing that Nixon tried to erase all of the names from the archives in Congress. And then all these other different things started to expand whenever we were looking into it. We're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And here's the New York Times literally trying to pinpoint these people.
Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is that, especially for people who are not, kind of Q initiated, is that it sounds like it was kind of a puzzle that Q put out there,
Yes.
and they were kind of dropping some clues, and there were lots of people that were guessing, but you guys,
a lot of people misleading.
Right. And guessing, misleading, whatever, that they're sending in different directions. And you guys came up with what Q believed was what they were leading towards, which was Payseur.
That's correct.
And so because of that, there was, that showed that you guys were thinking more independently than others. And
the CIA does not want you to know the name Payseur, because the CIA doesn't protect America. It protects the bloodline interests.
Right. Just like the FBI. And that's what Q was doing. A big part of what Q was doing was undermining the Mueller case. Like the stuff was being leaked out through Q about, what Mueller was really doing. And we already knew that Mueller wasn't really there, and that Adam Schiff and all these other people were pretty much orchestrating this in the background. And that, this was just a big puppet show. The whole dynamic of Flynn and his connection to Mueller and stuff that we're into right now, it's unbelievable, Scott, whenever you think about the dynamic of how thorough the network was during Q to divert everyone's attention from these very subtle things that Q was doing to Flynn's network that were causing them, because Q was saying disinformation is real. It was literally causing them to make these mistakes that we can look back on now as exposure.
Exactly right. And, so back to Twitter 1.0, nobody had our back, Scott. Not one person.
No.
That 13th Kai, Rebel Loki was on us. Several others that we see in the network. Some probably have different names now today in Twitter 2.0. Nobody had our back. Red Pill 78 came and attacked us all the time. Still does. You got Jordan Sather that didn't like us. But going back to We the Media was started. I was pissed off at We the Media, going, why don't you guys ever share my stuff? I've been queued more than half of you guys altogether. I've been queued more than all you guys. And, not to be, but I'm like, come on, guys, what's going on? And then I said something to say there. I got a call from IET saying, hey, do you want to join We the Media? So they finally wanted me to join. And I go, why can't Shady join? Oh, we'll have to take a vote on it and all this other stuff. And that's when I met Alex, the authority. And so that's how it was Telegram time around 2020-ish, after, we all got kicked off of Twitter, then the honeypot Parler that Bongino was in charge of, that basically made, so Parler, everybody did their videos on Parler. That was hacked. Code Monkey let Bongino know that Parler was could be hacked easily, and then all of a sudden, ProPublica, Donald Sussman sold an island the day before January 6th to probably get money, because when you move money around and you sell an island, you get kickbacks and whatnot in your own finances. And then all of a sudden, ProPublica has all the information, and all those videos were given to the impeachment managers from Parler. It's crazy what we know.
Yeah. I remember some of that when it came out, and it was so confusing, because, especially, I had not started looking into, and even understanding the nature of all of these psyops and all the disinformation and misinformation. And I think most of MAGA, most of the right in America still just believes that what we're being told by our media is true. And just like most of the left believes that what they're being told by their media is true. But it's all, there's so many lies. And it's all deliberate, and it's all, it's not for our good. It's definitely not for our good.
Then there was the Kate Maz psyop. There was the Austin Steinbart psyop. Then Austin Steinbart came back around with Deep Rig with Patrick Byrne. I mean, it's all connected. I mean, we have it all mapped out, and just talking about it helps us. Go ahead.
Right, and involved in that too was Roger. What was his name?
Ramsor.
Roger
Ramsor Richards. Yeah,
right.
Who has the sigil of Satan right here.
That's right. Yeah,
and the connections with him and Jordan Sather. See what
goes back with Corey's kids.
Right. And what kind of started to unfold was these deep rooted connections. Okay. So whenever you're talking about all these different things, like a real media, like the last thing in the world, a corrupt military industrial complex wants is a real media. So they create a facade. That's what they've effectively done. That's what the Breitbart stuff is. That's what the Bannon stuff is. All of these different things are, Alex Jones oriented, maybe not maybe not off of the cliff, Alex Jones, but pretty damn close to sensationalized journalism. James O'Keefe, all these people that are doing this stuff now, you get something on somebody, or you get some piece of information, and then you sensationalize it, and you make yourself the center of the story. Effectively, is what they're doing. That's not really journalism. And what we've discovered through all of this is to navigate with not just the curiosity that you have, but also with the idea of you don't put any blinder on ever. Just don't put the blinder on.
Right.
We had our blinders on regarding Flynn. Okay. This is how come this taught us such a great lesson. I believe this was an absolute beautiful lesson that the two of us learned together in tandem with each other, because neither of us were ever, quote unquote, fooled by a military industrial complex stooge before, but for some reason we got fooled by this because the people that were around Q were seeing everything, and there was this massive network of agreement. Once we separated from that, we went to the middle, and now we're sitting in this position, Scott, where all these people that are of that ilk, whether it's the Kyle Serafins, or they all have an opinion about us. They literally all have an opinion. The same thing that Media Matters and
same opinions. Yeah,
it's the same.
They call us Q-tards.
Right. Wow.
My IQ is much higher than Enrique Tarrio's. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that one bit. I've been blessed to have a little bit of interaction with the guy,
and my IQ is bigger than D. Boomasan too.
Seriously, Jeff, you pick some low hanging fruit with the
soy beard and everything.
Enrique's a bit of a low hanging fruit, but I mean,
he is.
You are aiming low there.
Yeah, I think he's still 12 years old. So
literally,
So then what you guys were actually kicked off. You're part of that very first group of people that were kicked off of Twitter. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. And that it was a pretty small list. And that was a list that was published, I think, in the first tranche of Twitter files that after Elon Musk bought Twitter.
Jeff got kicked off a little bit later. It happened to be on Twitter early, like that, before we got thrown off of YouTube early, like August, I think. Then YouTube went down in October. I think Jeff was like around the 6th. I can't remember, the 8th.
Yeah, I don't know exactly either, but I wanted to tell you before in 2/22 of 2019, I was put on a list with 20 or 200 other people. And Hillary Clinton had tweeted it out. They were using they were thinking that I'm a Russian bot. So
I still haven't been able to disprove that.
Yeah. Stop it, Shady. Don't tell them my secret.
I'm so sorry it slipped out.
So,
so that's why you sent me a bottle of vodka.
Enough, huh? So, it said, Patriots, you've been selected as threats and falsely labeled as foreign disinfo agents, though they attempt to disguise at the bottom is not all. This is an attempt to target, remove by false pretense, all freedom of speech, threatening voices to prevent loss of control. These actions are now being monitored and would strongly encourage you to, all this. And then it said something to this attempt to remove silent fascism. Those who pose their view or narrative should further demonstrate their resolve to control the message narrative, win at any cost. So Hillary Clinton tweeted that out, and it went to a graphic with 200 people, and they all had X's. And I went back, and there's a couple more X's, and I was on it. They never got me off, though. No pun intended.
Not until wasn't it the election? It was around January 6th, I think, whenever they finally took your.
I was still on the January 6th, 7th. Whenever Trump went down, I went down.
That's what I was saying. Right around the same day. Yeah.
Same time. Yep. Same day.
Right.
And
then,
whenever he went down, he had like 280,000 on Twitter when his account went down. He came back with like 160.
yeah. And by the way, it was 803 days I was suspended. And then I was also in Twitter Files 16, Scott, where a sitting senator with this, Angus King, a sitting senator, and he was on the Intel committee. So Schiff knows all about who I am, I guess. They all know who I am.
Right.
Wanted me off Twitter. And they didn't say for QAnon tweets. They just said they wanted me off Twitter. It was interesting.
Wow.
And that's effectively what the Q post said. That matched what the Q post said that had his account on it also. And during that span of time that was between the time the YouTube channel was taken down, so obviously our YouTube channel goes down.
Our YouTube channel went down the same day as Hunter Biden's laptop dropped.
Right. So whenever that goes down, we have no ability to talk. We have no ability to speak. And then all of a sudden, that's when the barrage of Media Matters oriented, Daily Beast, all these articles from Alex Kaplan, all this different stuff started right around then, because we were able to jump to Red State Talk Radio. They didn't leave us alone because we were over there. They were listening to every broadcast, mocking us on so many different things that we were easily proving. And Jeff noticed, later on how they left us alone and never wrote a smear article anytime that General Flynn or any of General Flynn's people were with us.
That's right. So Media Matters did about 40 some odd articles on us. And they also did an article when Elon bought Twitter. They used my account to get rid of Pringles. Pringles and MGM Grand. So they used me to demonetize X.
Wow.
Essentially.
After Elon came back.
Mm-hmm.
And how exactly did they do that? How did they?
So how
they were saying that they were pointing out you guys as being, this big problem.
So they would have an account and they would look at my account when I did a post, and they would see MGM or Ritz Crackers in there, and they went to Ritz Crackers saying, "Do you want your stuff being being advertised on this guy's account?"
In other words, all Jeff did was make a post, and because of whatever the algorithm is, it would feed ads. Before there was a blue check mark for everybody, it would just feed ads, and you're scrolling down, and all of a sudden there's an ad for whatever MGM or whatever it was under. So they would screenshot that and send that to the company, and then all these people would do it at the same time. And so then they target the person's account that's being, and that's why our accounts on Twitter today are so, we're on Twitter, but we're shadow, but you won't see any ads on our posts because they don't let us participate. They say we have freedom of speech, not freedom of reach.
Right.
So in addition to that, and now we're going back to the Twitter 2018, we were attacked by an organization called MAGA Coalition. There was some guy from New York that worked at IBM. I can't remember the guy's name. Gingrich from Pennsylvania, and that Ginger McQueen was a CFO. And they had paid somebody to make this huge network, map them out. And I'm the biggest one on there for Q. And she's like, I want to have a conversation with In the Matrix. And she challenged me to debates and all this stuff. And then Q posted about MAGA Coalition, talking about how MAGA Coalition is not MAGA. And by the way, MAGA Coalition financed Laura Loomer, her run for Congress, by the way. And so MAGA Coalition was outed by Q. Seb Gorka was also the wheel, and Gorka's wife was also part of it, and she ended up being the intel. What is it? Flynn was the foreign intelligence, for Cruz, Senator Cruz. She was working with Cruz, Ted Cruz. Very interesting stuff.
Adam Gingrich was that guy.
And that's when DeFango let the cat out of the bag, saying that they think we're Q.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And actually, if you want to just jump into that just for a second, that's what we think Flynn's whole people think.
Mm-hmm.
What Flynn's angle was whenever they were trying to sue CNN, we could see clearly that their angle was that what they needed to do is they needed to generate the optic at the Capitol so that they could say in court under oath that it was Q people that stormed the Capitol. That's the reason that they had I-70 there in the Q gear, making sure that Brian Gamble had the right shot, and they were working with the stuff from the people from the guy from Woo's News showed you a lot of the ins and outs and how they orchestrated all this different things together and had it all set up, because They wanted it to look like that it was not the military industrial complex working in tandem with their rogue officers, with the FBI and the CIA and all these intelligence operations and a bunch of criminals to do what happened. They wanted you to think that it was the Q people that stormed the Capitol.
Yeah.
Sure.
So let's just real quick talk about that then, because they're saying that I wanted to seal it. No, it was Stephen Biss, who was the lawyer for Flynn, that wanted to steal it. But what's interesting is I was dragged into Flynn's BS defamation case, and I got the letter of me wanting to appear. The CNN lawyer was Kate Bolger. She was involved in the Steele dossier. Okay. And then the judge was Judge Reinhardt, who approved the Mar-a-Lago raid. So I was literally in the deep state down there in Lauderdale, right? So Stephen Biss was Flynn's lawyer. He's also been lawyers for a lot of other people. And is this why someone wanted to pay for my hotel and flight to January 6th? Because in the case, it says the Flynns allege that on January 6th, 2021, adherents of QAnon were among the most prominent members of the mob that stormed the Capitol, right here in the case.
Right.
And just to, if I could add to that real quick, some texture to the moment. The night before, Alex Jones, General Flynn was on there saying to Alex Jones, he's 110% sure that Donald Trump's going to be the president for the next 4 years. The day before that, the night before, Ann Vandersteel was in some sort of soiree ball where they released a video of General McInerney, who came out on the camera and said that he had just gotten information that Donald Trump did, in fact, at the behest of General Flynn, sign the Insurrection Act. Okay, this was literally what they were saying to everybody. So this was the environment that we were navigating in at the moment. We didn't really know it wasn't true. We didn't know it was true. And then they were injecting all this different stuff like, oh, they're going to erect this gallows at the Capitol building. And there's going to be all of these people that are hanged for treason. All these different psychological operations that were going out were like based around the March 19th, trying to reconnect people to like, the 19th president, all these, insane, now obvious psychological operations that were just literally being spewed from every angle to confuse every human on earth. So no one would stop and look at what these people really did to MAGA that day at the Capitol.
Yeah. So
that was McGregor that said that he had signed it.
Yeah. Even though it was the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, Roger Stone, and possibly General Flynn, allegedly.
We could probably find that video where Ann said that. It was a big, it got millions of views. All these people were all stoked up about, it's like people on the right start foaming at the mouth. Like it's no different. Like this vigilante thing that everybody gets in their head. They get people to lose their mind. Like that's not rule of law. Like going out with pitchforks is not rule of law. People, investigations into crimes that lead to people is rule of law.
Right. So we talked about last time, we talked about devolution and how
devolution
and really what, and I've looked into it more since then. And devolution, the primary thing, because it officially started in July of 21. And it was this whole idea that Trump was still in office. He was still the real president, and he had set things up before he left office so that he would be continuing to run the country and the military, even though it would look like Biden was president. Right. And but the narrative started even, and you guys said this, so that kind of flavor of narrative really started in disinformation. It really did start in much earlier than that. I was looking at, we talked about the Patriot Soapbox, and I did kind of a deep dive into the narratives that they were pushing out, and they instantly aligned with Stop the Steal. Instantly. And Stop the Steal was first started by Roger Stone. If you watch, and I know you guys have talked about the documentary a lot, but the Storm Foretold documentary, and if you watch that, you'll see that Roger Stone was really running the show. He was recruiting actively. He said he wanted any active or former military, any rank. It didn't matter. We need as many people in the committee as possible. And he had his Friends of Stone group that was a signal chat, and he talked about that in the video, in the documentary. And that included First Amendment Praetorian, Oath Keepers, Proud Boys.
Mhm.
He had a lot of Proud Boys in the documentary itself. He was very clearly leading it. He was running these narratives, and this is the same thing that Patriot Soapbox was doing, was these same narratives. And they were so instantly with the machine fraud from the very beginning, it's machine fraud. And they started even election night, that this is vote flipping. And which is really pretty wild that they were ready to start that. And nobody could have known what was actually happening. But they went right into vote flipping, and that was really a tee up, like we talked about last time, for the invocation of the Insurrection Act, because we all believed that it was a very effective psyop. We've seen similar. It's like the blanket pardons. The vast majority of Americans, you guys and we and me and Script Keeper, I think we're some of the only ones out there that were really trying to fight the blanket pardons. We're promoting what Trump had said all along that he wanted, which was a line by line investigation, looking at every single case, pardoning those who truly were innocent and mistreated, and the violent perpetrators. And the true instigators, that they should stay in prison. And we would have a little less chaos today if people like Enrique Tarrio were still in prison. And that there's been a lot of chaos generated by that crew.
Yeah, and it sure has. And Jake Lang beating Capitol Police with a baseball bat, swinging for the stars. Right. And then General Flynn sings happy birthday to him while he's in jail. I mean, and then you want to talk about the devolution. It started, in fact, I'd like to get you with Spilty. She knows that General Flynn was in the group well before devolution was even a thing, with another person. I can't remember his name right now.
Are you talking about Thomas Victor?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was in that group too.
This is really important, because what ends up happening as we go through is that we know that General Flynn was within this group that we're bringing this up. We know General Flynn was part of the psyop with Alex Jones. We know that Ann Vandersteel is hooked to General Flynn like she's his left arm. So we know all these things to be true. But then General Flynn starts coming out after he's initiated all these psychological operations to tell you that Donald Trump is the secret president. The military is really in control. All these different things are going on. Then he starts coming out about 6 months, 8 months later and saying that, oh, you Q people are crazy. These people, they're sitting around doing nothing. They're the worst of the worst. They're the people that are making it all messed up. So you can see how, when we talk about an environment of thesis, antithesis, everybody thinks in these black and white realities. The deep state, if you will, is not black and white. It's all gray.
Yeah. And I have that video actually teed up here and this is Flynn on January 5th. It's worth taking a look at just for a few seconds.
And by the way,
unfiltered, millions are going to watch this. This critical junk.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to say, so watch General Flynn, listen to what he says. And if he's lying, if you can tell that he's lying now, knowing what you know now, it's time to unfollow the guy. Go ahead.
What are you talking about?
Let's hear what he says.
I was trying to raise my eyebrows.
For our Republic, we really appreciate you taking time out on the eve of Trump's big speech tomorrow. Thank you so much, General, for being with us. What is your call to the American people right now?
Well, my big message is that the truth is going to come out. Donald Trump will continue to be the president of the United States for the next 4 years. There's no doubt in my mind. When I'm asked on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the scale that you put that Trump will be the next president, I say 10, without a doubt. That is the truth. Everybody in this country, everybody in the world knows that this election on the 3rd of November was a total ripoff. It was a fraudulent election. We have had foreign interference from multiple countries. I'll rattle them off here if you want to get into that. And Donald Trump was the clear winner. For the next 4 days after the 3rd of November, from about the 4th through the 7th, 8th of November, they just started stuffing the ballot boxes, and every.
Okay. So, and then he gets much less coherent after that. But
so wait, let's stop. So he said that Donald Trump on January 5th, 2021, that Donald J. Trump is going to be the president for the next 4 years, 100% certain. Did it happen, guys?
No. And in the Bible calls that false prophecy.
Well, If you talk to people like Joe Rambo and crew over there, they'll tell you that it did happen. They'll tell you that yes, that was it. What Donald Trump he stood down and let 25 million illegals come into the country. The illegals are really here to help us, even though that we're currently right now like working to get them out of the country. And he even said that Joe Biden was arresting all the people that Pam Bondi arrested for trafficking. Well, Joe Biden's DOJ did that, and they're just making it look like Pam Bondi has done. Do you really think that Pam Bondi has arrested 200 people in the last 100 days? These are the people that come from this ilk. They're still at it over there. This is current stuff I'm telling you about. They are not embarrassed. I'm like, oh yeah, Joe Biden, he's on The View. Oh no, it's still like Jim Carrey in The Mask, I guess, running around like sleeping with Jill Biden.
Right. Right.
And so, and you brought up the devolution too, right? So a lot of people, so Donald Trump announced from Mar-a-Lago that he was running for president again. And it was, that is history. Donald Trump saying that I'm going to run for president again is a historical thing. Everybody on Truth Social was all pissed off. So they literally thought that he was going to roll tanks out from Mar-a-Lago and take over the government. That's how mind-controlled people were. They're like, oh, what? That was a nothing burger. He's running for president again.
That's literally what John Patel Patriot was telling his crew, that that there was going to be this inflection moment where and we're like, where you can logically deduce this stuff if you just say it out loud. We say this all the time. Go to the mirror, put down your phone, say it into the mirror. How do you sound? Think about this stuff. Oh yeah. Like how is the whole left? Can you imagine, Scott, what the left Democrats and the media would do in this country if in 2022, before the Mar-a-Lago raid or anything, Donald Trump started taking over the government, unelected. Like that right now, they say Elon Musk isn't elected whenever they can't even understand the guy got appointed when he didn't run for an election. But, they don't say anything about Casper Weinberger when he was in the Reagan administration. You know what I'm saying? It's insanity what they're doing.
Well, and the same thing that you guys just described about when the way you described that reaction when Trump announced that he was running for president, the same thing just happened less than a week ago with Pam Bondi when she announced, and I wrote a piece on this, and I think it's a really important piece, and it's full of what you guys call sauce. It's on biggertruthmedia.com. Definitely recommend checking it out.
Go there and subscribe. Guys, Scott needs your help, guys. Go. I don't see any red castles in here. I don't see any tips over here. Guys, help Scott out. Go subscribe to the Substack if you guys can, please.
Thank you. And I'm also going to be dropping tonight. I paid for a deep dive into devolution, all of the founders. So Richter, the founders, potential funders. It's long. It's a very in-depth report, and it's basically everything that the internet knows about this.
I can't wait to see that.
And so that's for my subscribers only. So they're at biggertruthmedia.com. I'll be dropping that tonight. Awesome. But with Pam Bondi, she actually announced publicly that they have tens of thousands of Epstein videos that they're working through.
Yeah.
And the exact same thing. This is a huge announcement. This is a really big deal, because this is the first time that we have heard from our government that they actually have the Epstein evidence. And this should be headlines everywhere, especially on the right. But it's crickets. It is absolute crickets, because all of our media is owned by.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say real quick, and those 10,000 videos, and all these people are screaming, "There's no arrest." There's, you don't know if there's grand juries happening in the background. You have no idea. Also, Shady and I made the point on our show that there's children in these videos. You can't release 10,000 videos and give the enemy all of your information. Who do these people think they freaking are?
Well, they're not understanding it's blackmail. You guys, like the people don't understand it's blackmail. It's blackmail for the victim. It's blackmail for the politician, like whatever. But also, guys, they preempted this. They preempted this with this BS of acting like, James O'Keefe had some sort of big freaking thing on Bondi, and then he comes out with this nonsense thing, little fluff piece thing that he's talking about that nobody really cares. That's news. Yeah, we understand about Andrew is having sex with children. Like most of us already knew that. It's big news because it's being announced, but even that gets degraded because they try to send Alex Jones out there to act like Pam Bondi has something to do with it.
And it's funny. So then today yesterday he put the coordinates, the latitude longitude for Epstein Island. So then today, and I'm sorry, I'm a guy that actually needs evidence. I need sauce, as we call it, right? I need the actual, documentation. So he comes out and he shows this kitchen saying that it's from Epstein Island. And there's a picture of a baby in a sink with a toy.
Right.
And like, that's damning.
Right.
Look, I mean, looks like the post got deleted. No, there it is. So it says, I said this, there's no concrete evidence to confirm that the artwork depicted in that X post, okay, a naked baby in a sink holding a toy, was located in Jeffrey Epstein's kitchen of Little St. James. The claim is unverified and without additional context from O'Keefe or footage corroborating reports. It remains totally speculative.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Absolutely.
is.
Absolutely.
But they need these clips. They need to keep people's eyes, even with the whole thing that they rolled it out, trying to connect it to Pizzagate. Like they need people to think that the Pizzagate thing is something, because that keeps your mind away from what really happened. It is, as we've unfolded this and this psyop has developed in front of us, and all these people involved have watched them play out. The Pizzagate thing was directly a psychological operation to distract you from the criminal activity that the Podesta group and all these people were doing to control the trafficking number, to control anybody that's investigating anybody that might be a real victim, or to off any victims that might be getting too lippy, and all these different things that are going on. The CIA, the FBI, the judicial system, the military, the Congress, the Senate, they're all involved in this, everybody. I'm sorry to tell you that, but there's a level of capitulation that is a common thread that will link every bit of that together.
Mm-hmm.
So real quick too, Scott, I mean, we kind of jumping back and forth, but this is a great interview. Thank you so much. And
Appreciate
Sure.
it.
so you were talking about the devolution. Okay.
Mhm.
Kimmy Mack is now a monthly supporter for you on Rumble. That's nice.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
job.
you.
And she's also a subscriber for you on your Substack.
Nice.
Look at how I know all this stuff. You need help, I'll help you out. No, okay.
Look at you.
Eric Reinhold actually came to me, Alex, and Shady. Okay. Eric Reinhold works for the what is it, Shady? It's Cash Patel Foundation.
Yep.
And so Eric Reinhold, a best friend of Cash, contacted me, Shady, and Alex and said we needed to help expose We the Media, Badlands, and Devolution. And that's General Flynn. That's all. And I don't know if they knew or not, if Rhino didn't know, but I know Cash knows, because he wanted us to get rid of Patel Patriot. He hated that he used his name, for fame.
Do you think that he knew, that Cash knew that they were associated with Flynn?
I think so.
Mhm.
I think Cash knows a lot more than we think.
I think that Cash did a really good job of standing in the room and letting people talk.
Yeah.
Mm.
So we actually went in there. I went, We the Media was going to break up. And I'm like, hey, Rhino is saying that you guys are, idiots. He doesn't like John. And so if you guys want to keep We the Media, we should keep We the Media. This is me thinking that it's a good thing, right? Keep We the Media, and you Badlands people, Devolution people, go to Devolution server. They're over in the Devolution server calling them Trash Patel. They're calling us names, and we have eyes everywhere, right? We see all, we hear all, right? So we busted that whole thing, and Cash actually liked the comment that Red Pill Pusher put out there saying this was a fun time. He even reposted big congratulations to Cash. I remember when Cash and his close friend, wanted to get rid of Patel Patriot. So Rhino even said this was a fun time, and I did a whole thread about it. I will leave it in here for you guys to look at. But we disseminated the Badlands Media Group, and now they're buying all their views on Rumble. They're not that big. You watch that show, it's like watching paint dry.
Yeah.
And I think it might be valuable to mention here also, Jeff, on the backs of what you were just saying, was that the people that were there, that were within in this group on Badlands Media, this would be like almost all of the people that you people would know as the Q people, where there's Awakened Outlaw, Sun Tzu, SSGQ, Gunfag, what's his name, Sir William
Gunfag
Scott.
called me a pedophile.
Guitar Anon, like all of these people are the exact same people that were doing this to Cash Patel that Jeff is describing, that were in the Discord servers with us when Jeff was doxxed and when we were
Wow.
being attacked for the Pacer research. These people had come to us after that stuff and apologized. Oh, we didn't understand. Oh, whatever, after the whole ramp thing, and we all got taken down off YouTube. Then they started amping it all back up whenever it was We the Media, and Truth Hammer was in there. And I could probably name, a laundry list of people you would recognize. But these people were directly attacking. Jeff and Alex were in that group of We the Media. They were showing me like these people, they're calling him Trash Patel, like what's her name, Kate the Awakening and Patel Patriot think they're somehow leading this movement. Like, who the hell do these people
Play
around here?
a CIA boy. Wow, great.
Yeah. What the hell is going on?
Scott Sparkanon just became a monthly supporter on Rumble.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. That's awesome.
It is awesome.
Yeah,
You deserve it.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's something that I haven't even promoted the Rumble subscription. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So you guys worked with kind of indirectly, but definitely with Cash, and he clearly knew about it because he posted about it, and in part certainly it was because John Harold was using the name Patel Patriot.
That's right.
And people thought, and I remember hearing about this, and people chatting about, oh, Cash Patel is saying that Trump's still the president. And,
it's Absolute 1776. The Storm has arrived 17.
Right.
Custradamus, Patrick Gunnels. Boy, I mean, we can just go down the list. Patel Patriot. I'm just trying to see.
I will take a little bit of credit for me being the first one to really come out and go sideways at Patel Patriot.
Oh, that was funny.
Jeff was still in the We the Media, and so was Alex. And I came out with a post, oh boy, and I lit his ass up, and he lost it, dude.
So good.
I mean, he lost it.
G Brothers is now a monthly supporter too for you.
Thank you. So that really that really dissolved quickly, didn't it? I mean, once you guys
we kicked it.
Yeah. Once we kicked it to the curb, it got kicked to the curb. But they're still around. They have a small presence on X. I don't know. They've banned me because I can't see their posts now because they're so important. But it doesn't matter.
Right.
I don't recommend anybody following anybody. I recommend people looking and reading and like looking at you, Scott, checking our show out, but question us.
Mm-hmm.
I welcome the question. Nobody's ever questioned us. They've just attacked us. Isn't that weird, Shady, how that works?
Because nobody's done. I think the better example is to say that nobody's doing what Scott is doing, which is exude some sort of true curiosity about what it is that we're talking about here. Mm-hmm. Everything has been, whenever I go after Joe Rambo, I don't go after Joe Rambo because he doesn't have an IQ. I go after Joe Rambo because what he says is stupid, and he posted it, so he's dumb enough to post it so you can be you're in the arena, so you criticize. But then I criticize him, and he acts like, oh, it's an attack on his personality, as he's attacking our personality, because the two of us have been doing shows for like 7 years, and they never use any of the things that we say to play them and mock them.
Mm-hmm. Right. They just have this old playbook. Candle, $10 Rumble rant. Good show. Keep it up. Thank you, Candle.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Yes. So it is, and that's their game. They have two responses. It's all lies or personal attacks. That's
I mean, I wear red shoes, have speeding tickets, or went where Shady and I went to Ramtha.
Right.
That's all they got.
Right. And that's all they have in it's the crazy thing is that they operate in the same they're cults because they create these cult followings. Mm-hmm. So whether it's an individual podcaster's cult, or it's a cult within a state Republican party, or it's a cult within with their whole America's Future cult.
3.4 million influencers were paid by Defeat Disinfo, which is McChrystal's group. 3.4 million influencers, and I think we're seeing them.
And I would like to maybe real quick, Scott, to just bring up a real world example since the last time we were on the air. What you saw happen with this the Booma whatever guy.
Yeah,
the Mike Bill, like look what he did. Look at what his little evolution of of presence has been. This is the same thing. He's like, regurgitating the Ramtha thing. Oh, because we got donations. Oh, it's the Jeff and the Red Shoes thing. Oh no, it's they have a Mike Lindell thing. Oh no, it's this other thing. Like literally every I sent to him. I was like, bro, did they not tell you that you're like the 1,000th person they sent to do this?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, when one digital soldier falls, so we had Jeremiah Bullfrog kicked off. And we had Digi Soldier also kicked off, two of their biggest, soldiers. are now off X. And then we had Melody, the crazy lady that tried to honeypot me.
Oh my gosh, that was nuts.
You like that text I gave you?
And I
don't want
saw
like
that instantly because she told me that she was your ex.
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
how she introduced herself to me.
Yeah.
And then she immediately just started calling you a narcissist. I said, "Oh, this." And
So
she
if I was a
claimed to be
narcissist,
an expert in narcissism,
so
probably
apparently-
because she is one.
well, that's what I was gonna say. And apparently she forgot. A narcissist would have already leaked her nude pictures that she sent to me.
All
right.
You're keeping those very close.
Apparently she forgot about that part. I would never do that because I am not that kind of person.
You're a gentleman.
My mom was actually afraid of her, Scott.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of crazy because they were doing like, a little bit of a distance thing for a little bit. And then she went to Florida and wow. I mean, Jeff was calling me within like
Marry me.
a couple of hours. Like he's like, this crazy lady's trying to get me to marry her. I'm like, what? No, he's like, oh, no. I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, so they were, and then so yeah, but the reason that I posted that text message from her to you, Scott, was to show you how the operation works because now
Right.
they, because this is what they were doing to me and Jeff when we were in Discord. The same exact thing. Like they were sending Jeff all these messages about me. They didn't know who the hell I was. And they were sending me all these messages about him saying, oh, he's this, he did this. They sent me this picture of Jeff on a wooden chicken. And they're trying to tell me that he's like sacrificing stuff to Moloch and he's like on some wooden chicken in a restaurant somewhere. I'm like laughing my ass off. I'm like, I got to get to know this guy. He's hilarious.
Get it right.
What the? Oh, it's a rooster. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. It wasn't a chicken. He would never get on a wooden chicken.
Exactly. Rooster. You got it. You know what I'm saying? So all these weird ops, man. So that wooden rooster was at a local live music venue. Funny. I just got a picture of me standing next to it. Who cares? Crazy.
Like they were telling me he was sacrificing. He was like Hillary. He's sacrificing stuff to Moloch.
Yeah, in front of everybody at a Dave Matthews Band concert,
because America,
America, that's what people do. Craziness.
Well, and that's the brainwashed mind. It makes these radical leaps in logic, and you start by. They often say connecting the dots. Now the new lingo is pattern recognition. They talk about pattern recognition, and so they use that to encourage people to connect. Where B builds on A, C builds on B. A very careful, examining the evidence for each step before this is how logic works. And then they start connecting stars in the next solar system and saying that this, just making radical leaps in logic. And that's not pattern recognition. That's not, I mean, if it requires you to say that I'm just connecting dots or this is pattern recognition in order to say, for example, that Scientology is behind all of this with the Flynn network. Okay. Are there Scientologists? I'm sure there are, the intelligence communities of the world are way bigger than Scientology. Scientology is a goofy little cult compared to the intelligence communities.
Yeah. The Scientologists, what was her name? Do you remember her name? The blonde lady, shady with the glasses?
Dundas.
Yeah, Lee Dundas.
Oh, Lee Dundas. Oh my gosh.
She was a Scientologist, and then her Scientologist little friend took over the trucker movement in DC. So there were aspects of Scientology, but it's not all Scientology.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And I think a big part of
Christmas cards. They don't even believe in Christmas.
I think a big part of what people can a bit of a tool that I'd like to share with everybody is the idea that the way that the MG show got to where we are is because we were critical of each other. You have to understand this. Like me and the two of us, whenever we first met, started work, we were critical. Or, oh no, Shady, that's not right. You're thinking this and it's really that. And I'm like, oh no, Jeff. The criticism of the research is the way that we get to the research. A number of people that are with us every day that follow that aren't just our core group that follow along. We have brought in their research because we've thought one thing and they said, no, take a look at this. And then we go look at that. And we're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, this is the way that we move. And these people act like that we're sticking people into narratives because what they are doing is trying to stick people into a narrative. We're walking away from the narrative. There has not been an instance yet where someone in our audience presented either of the two of us with information that would either go against something that we said that was convincing or was some other way of looking at something that we didn't take to heart and be like, oh my God, okay,
Yeah.
you're right. That makes sense to me. Holy crap, you're seeing a piece that we couldn't see. I've seen you do that, Scott. I've seen Script Keeper do that. That is the way that a real journalist will move within this environment that we're currently in. That's how you can kind of discern some stuff out there on your own.
And we were fooled that all these anons out there, at least the ones that are still lingering around today, Sparkanon says collective research. No, they were collective disinfo. Because of us and you and people that are OG anons that actually think, we can disseminate that now. We understand that, and if we get new information, like Shady was saying, we can change our mind. We don't have any one thing to stand on. Like, I don't need to stand on General Flynn's a hero. Okay. I don't need to stand on anything. I just want the truth, nothing more.
Right.
Or a candidate or some sort of particular subject or an issue. If you're getting all pigeonholed and stuck on one single issue that isn't connected to finances or the economy, you're an idiot. You're a political idiot. I'm sorry. That's just the truth. You're either a personality, you like being with the popular crew or whatever. That doesn't have anything to do with. If you go back and you read the Federalist Papers, I would recommend any human being that's in America to go back and read the Federalist Papers of America, because that will teach you who you are. It'll teach you who you're supposed to be as an American. It'll teach you the right perspective on government. Government is a creature, everybody. Let me say that again. It's a creature that we created to keep in a prison. Somewhere along the line, circa 1913, the greedy bastards in the Congress unlocked the door and they let it out. Right now, Donald Trump is trying to take this behemoth that literally you can't see the cage anymore and put it back in that damn cage. Can we do it? We can if we work together and we work against these psychological operations in tandem.
That's right.
And I guess, go ahead.
They really are. And part of what you're describing, I think, is debate, and that is, it's always been, as long as we've been alive, debate is one of our primary means of discerning truth. We have to be able to debate, and social media just in general has, I think, in a cooperative way, even a scripted way, has removed debate from our lives. It's put us into echo chambers and silos, and given us the ability to just block each other, make fun of each other, then block somebody, and then there's no debate. And so,
and you know what else they did with that, Scott? I mean, they slandered me and Shady so bad that nobody wants to have us on their show anymore. Like, that's why we're happy to come on your show. Nobody, like, we had all these people on there. Nobody asked us to come on their show because they got everybody. Oh, he followed Q, or he's a QAnon influencer. So it's booga booga booga.
We would have them on.
I'm a regular person. I'm a dad. I'm a son. I mean, I'm an outstanding citizen in my community. And I like to have debate, Shady. And
one thing that I would just touch on, it speaks perfectly to what you were just saying. You Scott, you just had a run-in with the professor guy, with David Clements. Yeah. So our experience with Dave Clements was pretty much the last experience that we had with him. Is he actually invited us on. We were like, oh my God, we had him on our show. Then he invited us over to his show. Then we went to his show, and we went to his show to present the Arabella information. This was very new, maybe the third, fifth time or so that we'd presented this information about the architecture of Arabella, how it's connected to what Q was saying, and how it's also connected to these foreign cash that are bringing this money into the 501c4s. We did an hour broadcast that he recorded that was, the two of us were like ecstatic after. We were like looking at each other like, holy crap, we just literally we're going to use this broadcast to like show other people this was the best broadcast we could do about this topic. He wouldn't air it. And Jeff gave him a hard time. He still wouldn't air it. He wouldn't even give it to us.
Ready? Let me see if I got it. Ready?
Okay. Yep.
Hey, Jeff, this is Dave. I imagine by now you've probably discerned why I held off posting our interview. I don't want to put you in a position where you are uncomfortable given, your affinity for General Flynn. But if you've been following me and Lynn, we obviously have some major concerns about what we're finding out. And I just don't want to do anything that's going to hurt you. So give me your thoughts whenever you like, and I'll certainly post the interview if you don't think that'll put you in a difficult situation. But I figured I owed you that much. That's what I wanted to talk with you about last week. Just been really busy. All right, bye.
We didn't care that he didn't like Flynn.
Yeah.
So when you said no, go ahead and publish that he just ghosted you, or did he respond again?
I said, hello, David. Thank you for consideration. I think the video was informative, and it needs to get out. And do you think we said anything in the interview? I mean, please advise. Otherwise, post it. And he didn't post it. He ghosted me until
about a year and a half later.
December 1, 2021 to July 2023.
He's so
year and a half. I got it right.
Yeah, he did this on my show too. He's just so slimy, and
he is,
he does. He's so skilled at coming across as being such a caring Christian. Like he comes across like he's just so sincere and genuine. But there's an ulterior motive in everything that he's doing, and that was the case then. And I think that it's I don't think that he was ever really against Flynn. Personally,
yeah, it's a fake fight. Real quick, Agent Miami just sent you $10 here, and Ross Pure.
Thank you.
Well. Yeah,
thank you all.
And
really appreciate your help.
Monster Q, another $10. Man, thank you guys for supporting Scott.
Yes, thank you.
It really makes my heart. I'm glad you guys are I'm glad you guys are enjoying this. Jeff was saying it earlier. We don't like to talk about. We end up talking about ourselves. What we're interested in on the show is we're interested in what Trump is doing. We're interested in, but what we end up talking about is all the people that are ankle biting him. We feel like if we let this stuff go unsaid with, what they're doing today, with like picking the wrong candidate again. Oh my God. It's like, holy crap. If we'd listened to General Flynn, it wouldn't have been J.D. Vance for vice president because he wouldn't have made the senator of Ohio. So there's all these different things that we need for people to understand, and for people to understand about our story that just really is almost impossible to tell during the day-to-day broadcast.
Sure. And there's so much to it. So we just covered we covered a good chunk of. So I think we're pretty much through. There's still more that we could talk about, especially around the 2020 election and through January 6th and stuff. But
I want to know about Clay Clark too. I mean, we can do a whole thing on that next time.
Exactly.
Do you guys
He's
like
going to have us back?
Let's see. Do you guys like it? Do you guys? I mean, God, do you think they
47 if you like it?
There you go. 47. You like it.
But I appreciate it, Scott. Thank you.
Yeah. And I still, even if they don't want it, I'd love to have another conversation with you so that I can learn more about the Reawaken tour. So even if people don't want to hear it, we can do it offline. So
okay.
Wait, there's a lot of 47, so we might have
to.
Oh, sweet.
I guess we're gonna have to do it.
And real quick, I'd like to just, you had Bonster, you had Sean Lenan gifted a subscription to your channel, and Patriot Pollywog just says, picking up the caboose. Thank you, Scott.
Oh, thank you guys so much. Thank you. Really, I'm very
grateful. We have a great family around us, Scott, you know, and welcome. And, I know, now they called you a QAnon person. You're not. We understand that. But guess what? We can put on our pants and have a conversation, can't we, Scott? I mean, isn't that what America's about? Whether you believe this, I believe that. Blah, blah, blah.
I thought he just wanted his own letter.
He does. It's going to be.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm going to start S-ing on.
Yeah. Oh, geez. We have an SG on, so maybe.
Oh, well, I very, very much appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you for everyone who has commented and shared, and what's pretty cool about what's really amazing actually about the community that you guys have around you is you've got a lot of support, and I'm not just talking about financial support. You've got a lot of people that help you with your research, and and I see that, and because some of them reach out to me and offer help too, and so that's a great thing. I think that where we're going is really. I think we all want to make America great again. and I posted today that the way to do that, it starts with our families and our communities and our workplace. And we need to stop just sitting back and, hoping that Trump or hoping that somebody fixes the problems in this country, because there's some truth in Flynn's local action national impact psyop. And we need to be involved where we can have an influence, which is locally. And I personally walked that. I ran for county commissioner in my little county, and I won with 75% of the vote. And they're trying to remove me because I spoke out against porn in the libraries.
Yep.
And so Dana Nessel appointed a special prosecutor to try to remove me. But
and Scott, I mean, you had a lot of Flynn influence in your little area there as well, correct? In your state, and
Yep.
that's what people have to realize. He's got his tentacles everywhere.
not my testicles.
Where did you put them, Scott?
No, not Scott. Flynn.
Oh,
Flynn's got his tentacles in.
Oh, where are we going?
Shady knows that I have a problem with that word.
No,
I'd like to really say, Scott, that one thing I'd like to impart to the audience and to you, sir, is that with the founding fathers and what they wanted was what they said was that if we create a country and the people have access to the truth, the arc of history will always bend toward it. Okay. So to deviate from that, what they did was they contaminated our conversations, and no one is really having a conversation about the truth. What we're trying to do with our audience is we're trying to have a bold, hard, cold look at the truth and then have some fun with it from there. Nobody wants to see this happen to our country. Nobody wants to see the corruption. You know, how hard was it for you to look whenever they're showing you this Doge stuff that's really going out around the world? That's not easy to look at. So it's amazing to have an environment and to have colleagues around us that at the core care about the truth, because it's simple. If you have better information, you will make better decisions and your life will be better.
And
Absolutely.
like put down Twitter and like look in the mirror and say JFK Jr. is alive in the mirror and see if you laugh at yourself. All right. I mean, let's get your head out of deep dream.
Just be honest.
Yeah. So there's a question. I am in Michigan. So, and this is the reason why I'm here is because I was a small town reporter, and I was looking at why is the Republican Party in Michigan so crazy divided, and this was a year and a half ago. And as I continued to follow the evidence, it showed me, what I realized is that there was an insurgency. There was an operative who was connected to, had self-professed ties to the intelligence community, who was running from the shadows, running the Michigan Republican Party into the ground right before the 2024 election. And I was part of the group that I kind of was adopted into the group just by reporting on this, because nobody was reporting on why it was happening. And then it turned out that there were connections between that group and Flynn and the America Project and all of that. And then I started looking at other states, saw the exact same thing going on all across the country. And so I started by looking within the Republican Party, and then came to, oh, wow, Flynn is behind this. What else has Flynn done? And, it wasn't long after that I met you guys. So
thank you. Yeah.
It's
been a pleasure.
Yeah, it is. It has. It really has. So, I think we've all got a lot to learn from each other, and I think we can all do a lot to help each other.
With all that stuff that happened over the summer last year, and everything with your research that came together with ours, as a matter of fact, that ended up helping a lot of people that were part of our audience that are having trouble getting through this knothole or threading the needle about what's going on with General Flynn. It's not an easy thing to admit you're wrong. It's not an easy thing to tear down the hero in your mind. The two of us didn't want to do it. We did it together at the same time, and we did it with vigor, and we did it with enthusiasm, because once we got new information, then the old guard is gone.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Scott, we had the Mike Gill, the Liz Harris. I mean, we've got all those in common as well. We'll share our stories again on the next episode.
God bless.
That sounds great. God bless you guys, and God bless everybody else for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right.